Ah, a spider. Phobias. What is a phobia? Spiders, snakes, height. Hello and welcome to another English podcast with Paul. I'm your host, Paul. And as always, unedited, unscripted, but I do have some notes. All right. Natural native English conversation. So we delve into this new topic of phobias. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, phobia. What is a phobia? So I've got some notes and I've got some on the computer in front of me as well. They say a phobia is normal for most people, but it's only a phobia when it becomes out of proportion to the danger. It lasts more than 6 months. It has significant impact on how you live your daily life. Interesting, interesting. Okay, right. What else does it say down here? Right. I saw something interesting just now, and I thought yes, that'll be interesting for my listeners. Okay, types of phobia. All right, so we've got specific phobias and complex phobias. So we've got specific phobias such as animal phobia. Like I said, like a dog or a snake, maybe even an insect or a rodent. Many women are scared of mice or mouse, a mouse, several mice. Okay. Phobias of natural environments such as height or water. Now, even I feel a bit dubious around lots of deep water, but not the sea. Go figure. Situational phobias such as flying or going to the dentist. Ugh. Who likes going to the dentist? Dentist is very scary. That drilling, clenching the armrests. Oh, just thinking about it now makes me concerned and worried about the dentist. Just thinking about it. All right. Body-based phobias such as blood, vomit, injections, choking, childbirth. Imagine having a phobia about childbirth. That's pretty confusing and sad and scary and all at the same time. Very upsetting, frustrating. I understand a lot of people are scared of blood. They see it and they can faint, they can pass out. I understand as a child, injections were always scary because you didn't know what they were like or what they're about. As I get older and I eat too much food or too fast, sometimes I choke on a piece of toast. That is scary. And you look twice at that piece of toast and think, oh, is this going to be the death of me? Especially when I'm elderly. Am I going to resist and not want to have toast? Something as simple as toast. Okay. What else do we say? Oh, I missed out another one. Tunnels, small spaces, and escalators. Sorry, that was under situational. Situational, such as the dentist, tunnels, small spaces, and escalators. I can see why people would be concerned and scared about going on an escalator. There's been many horror films in the past where people die in an escalator. And you hear stories of people being stuck and trapped in an escalator, not an escalator, an elevator for a long time. Imagine being stuck in an elevator for 6 or 7 hours. Ugh, especially if it's somebody you don't like in there with you. Like your husband or wife. Okay. Only joking, only joking. All right, sexual phobias. I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of that. Sexual assault acts or fear of nudity. Now, I think there's a lot of people like myself, when they're younger, have a dream that you're somewhere in front of an audience or a crowd of people and you become exposed. Maybe somebody pulls down your trousers or something like that, or the wind may blow up your skirt. The idea of being exposed is always very worrying and in people's dreams. Yeah, when you're young. All right, okay. What about other phobias? Other phobias such as certain foods, objects, or Costumed characters. Yeah, people have phobias of clowns. I mean, a clown is supposed to be funny and happy, but people say they have a phobia of from, and also dolls, because dolls can look realistic, like a baby doll or maybe a China doll with a China head and those big beady eyes that kind of look like they're staring at you no matter where you are in the room. Give you the creeps, give you the EBGBs, make you feel scared that they're staring at you. All right. If you're afraid of something or you see it a lot, you can start a serious impact on your everyday life. I'd imagine it would. Yeah, I'd imagine it would. All right. So yeah, we talked a little bit about the different types of phobias, and many of them are normal and natural. But what about the benefits of having a phobia? What are the benefits of it? Well, I think a benefit of having a phobia is that it could save your life. Maybe you hear a rattlesnake or some kind of snake and ooh, that doesn't seem very good, and so you move away, or you're climbing high and maybe you're concerned of falling, so you come back down. Obviously, phobias and fear and anxiety were put there in your brain on purpose, going back to when we were Neanderthals and cavemen and going back to the beginning of human existence, from when we were standing up. That idea of fear, like many animals have, is for survival, to keep you alive. And a lot of these fears and anxieties and phobias are not necessary and not important in this day and age, in this modern world. I've been in places where it's been a modern shopping mall or a shopping center, and I've seen villagers from out in the village come into the shopping mall and seen an escalator for the first time and sort of shuffled onto it, pushed onto it, and they were struggling to understand the concept of where they're going and what's going to happen, and the ground moving. So for somebody who's never seen it, especially an adult, it is a very bizarre concept that this metal hard ground is moving away from you and it's going to carry you up the steps or down the steps. It's very interesting and bizarre thought. So I have empathy for people that have never seen such a thing. And I have empathy and share the worry and concerns that many people have with phobias, because it's normal and natural, and it's about being empathic to other people's real life worries and anxious, and the fact that they can become paralyzed with fear. That's not a good thing for any human to go through, especially as an adult. As a child, maybe you could get over it and your brain can say, oh yeah, okay, well, that wasn't a very good situation, but I understand now. My brain is able to understand what it's about, comprehend the issue, and the danger was not that much. So yeah. What else? Also, I guess that we get some positive, some good things from phobias and fears. I mean, fear is sometimes where we get our adrenaline, and a lot of people search for that. There's a whole industry out there with Red Bull cliff divers diving off of a high cliff into the sea. Also, there's things like Red Bull X Games, where like motocross bikes jump and do flips and death-defying tricks and skills and things. I've seen one I think it's called like a Superman, where they go up this huge, great ramp, normally in a big arena made up of sand or soil, up a huge, great ramp like this, and then they hold the bike with one hand, and this is in the air, like 80 foot in the air. Hold the motorcycle with one hand, and they're like flying behind the motorcycle. and then they let go of the motorcycle. So they're like a flying squirrel in midair, arms and legs akimbo, and the motorcycle is in front of them. And then they reach out and they pull the bike back underneath them, put their hands and feet back on, and then land back down on the other ramp. Whew, it's enough to give you kittens and nightmares just watching it. It's amazing. That's Red Bull X Games. I guess the X comes from motocross, or yeah. And then we've got like the Red Bull again, Red Bull aeroplane aerobatics. So they like have pretend dog fights, and they show off their skills of flying really low and loop the loop and barrel rolls and things like this. I'm guessing some of these are what do I want to say? Dust cropping, where they spray their chemicals on their field. You know, and then they fly down really low, spray the chemicals, and then go back up, turn around, come back down, spray the chemicals again. Because America and some of these countries are so huge, the fields are also very, very big, that you have to go over with an aircraft. So yeah, that's Red Bull, and they do like dog fighting and acrobatics. And then you've got other fear and adrenaline sports such as boxing or martial arts. And then you take it the next level up, then you've got things like the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championships, where you're in like a metal cage and you have a fight with another person of a similar weight category. That is super popular now. So there must be a lot of adrenaline there from excitement and ongoing from the fighting, the fight or flight aspects of keeping you alive. But going back to phobias and the positive sides, the negative sides, and how it must be, what's the word I'm thinking of? Well, it can be embarrassing. It can be humiliating. Just some phobias that most of these people have no control over whatsoever. Debilitating. That was the word I was looking for. Debilitating. Having no control over this phobia that happens to you. And many people say they don't know where it come from or how it happened. A lot goes on in your subconscious, especially when you're asleep. So there's lots of different things and ways to move forward to help it if it's really affecting your day-to-day life. And also there's things like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you might have a workshop where you talk and understand and you build up more and more resilience to the idea of confronting your phobias. There's hypnotherapy. There's overstimulation or aversion therapy and things like this. I think a lot of people try to overcome these fears. I do know that you can go to some airlines and have a conversation with the airline pilot, and he talks you through what safety procedures there are, why the plane is very, very safe. Statistically, it's the safest form of transport. And you can pay a premium for this service where everything is explained to you and the risks are shown to be very, very low, and how the plane reacts with turbulence and things like this. So you pay a premium for this service. And you can do this maybe 2-3 times before your holiday to a foreign country. So that's a positive thing. You can also get help from your doctor, and your doctor can maybe prescribe medication if it's debilitating on a daily basis. Maybe you're scared of wide open spaces and you have to go to work. So there's lots of different things that's available. But I think a lot of people that have these phobias prefer One, not to tell people about it and show people about it because they can feel embarrassed by this phobia they have, or ashamed, especially if it's a sexual phobia, that they can feel ashamed or dirty or just not themselves, just not a good person. So that's a very sad, dark side of things. But like I said, there are lots of different therapies and ways to progress forward with these phobias. But what about the consequences of removing all these fears in society, these taboos? So on one side, you could say that when I was at school, the children that were overweight were teased. Now, this isn't a phobia, but it is a fear. Some young people may have felt that if I get overweight and enjoy eating too much unhealthy foods, I will become fat. And so therefore they would monitor and less likely to overindulge in such things as overeating, especially junk food that may give them that dopamine hit of being happy when they're eating. So you can look at that in two ways, that there's two sides of it. Some people could have like a phobia about getting overweight, so they may become anorexic and skinny and not eat to the point where it's affecting their body and their health. Or you can have those people that worry that they're not going to get enough food, or worry they're going to be, there's this irrational fear of not having food if they break down or in their car, and so may overeat and then become overweight. And then they can have a fear of being mocked and teased and bullied for being overweight. Now, as I said before, if you took away these fears in society, does that mean it becomes more normal and acceptable to be overweight? If society doesn't express to you that you're different and that you're unhealthy and that you're making yourself even more unhealthy and ill and less desirable, then that in my era, back in the 70s and 80s, was normal behavior to help minimize people becoming overweight. Now, you might say that was very bullying, but bullying is taken far too seriously in this day and age. It's a household word that's used everywhere in lots of cases and scenarios. And I think it's thrown around too easily. So my definition of the term bullying is negative words and phrases on a repeated basis. So if somebody teased me for having dirty, greasy hair as a child, I would do something about it. I would say, Mum, I need to get my hair washed. I need to wash my hair because I'm getting teased about it. And that might stay with me for 6 months, a year. It might be with you for many years. But it encouraged you to do something about it if you're able to. And likewise with the children that were overweight, they were teased and mocked, and so they would make more effort to control their eating and maybe exercise more. But as children, you don't always have a lot of control of your life, and I understand that. Not all children are able to decide what food they eat, decide what food they don't eat, get the opportunity to go outside and have exercise. So it's very difficult for children to monitor their own actions. And being bullied is sometimes a positive thing, because in nature, other animals will react and have a similar way of how do I put this? A similar way of helping other members of the pack or other members of their society to maintain a kind of equilibrium with the rest of the pack and the rest of the balance. Now, I know I'm talking about animals, and humans, we are still animals. We still have a lot of DNA in us. And it's very, very hard to fight that. Yes, we are more educated. And yes, there is a lot of DNA that says the bigger, stronger man gets the pick of the women. And I understand that's a very old school mentality. But that's kind of still the way it is. If you're a big, strong man, you're going to get the choice of women. It's as simple as that. As educated and as modern as this world is, it still goes like that. And if you're overweight, then that's going to reduce your options of women, whether you're male or female. Either way, it's going to reduce your options. So that is one way of the human society trying to gain some equilibrium and balance. Bullying in the real aspects can lead to some very, very unwanted, bad, negative behaviors. Bullying can lead to suicide. We're all aware of this. We're all well aware of this. But like I said, the word gets thrown around very quickly and very easily. Like other words. Like young people these days like to look at an older man like me and say pervert and throw that word out there. Yet young people don't recognize the consequences of calling somebody a pervert or even a paedophile. That can break a man's career and his marriage and his family, home. All this can happen just from the whims of young people throwing around and banding around this word. Let's just say there's a school teacher you don't like and you get real irritated and upset with your grade, your mark on your paper. And so you could start rumors, you can do all sorts of things as a young person and throw these words around, which can have a real detrimental effect to somebody's career. Now that can happen to a man or a woman, but more likely to a man. And so these words are just words. And I've said before, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That is true. And I stand by that. And yet I feel like a complete oxymoron, by saying, on the other hand, you have to stand by your words. And if you're throwing around words like pervert or psycho or I don't know, pedophile, some of these words can be very damaging without knowing the true depth of it, especially from a young person. And so I gotta be careful that I maintain on track and I try not to offend. So words are just words, providing you know the consequences of these words you use and how you use them with the meaning behind them. And I know I come across as hypocritical. Maybe I am hypocritical. Maybe I'm confusing the matter more. But words that get thrown around very, very easily really are detrimental to society and human beings. And I always come back to human beings have feelings and we need to be kind to human beings. So being overweight and being bullied is very, very bad. You can mitigate some of that because it's your body and your choice of what you put into your body, especially as an adult. but other things that you cannot control, such as a disability or your ethnicity or your culture, you cannot necessarily change readily and easily, and may not be your choice. So bullying is a very, very bad thing, and I do not commend bullying. So on one hand, I say the words are thrown around really easy, and on the other hand, I say we should not take words too serious. I know. It's a confusing world, and I think I've made myself more confused. Throwing words around, bullying. So I wanted to be sure that we all agree that bullying is bad. And yet, on the other hand, words and labels are thrown out there very easily, whether it's ADHD, whether it's bullying, whether it's pervert. Any of these words, you have to be very careful with. It's also well worth taking responsibility of your own life and minimizing any of that negative behavior to yourself. Minimizing that potential remarks thrown at yourself. Right, so we're going off topic a bit here. Phobias, that can be thrown at somebody like somebody has a phobia of, I don't know, dogs or cats. That can be used for people to mock and tease a person with that phobia. That's where the bullying could come in. So going back to phobias, they're a complicated issue. I admit they're a complicated issue. Now, I got to say, I am really, really lucky that I have very, very few phobias. I'm not keen on snakes, but I will touch a snake. I've held a tarantula in my hand. I'm not keen on heights, but I've been up very, very high ladders. Now, I've said before, I am very much a person that pushes the limits of myself. I'm like an addictive personality. So if I'm afraid of heights, which I am a bit, I will make myself go up heights. Now, I'm not narcissistic behavior, but I kind of want to push myself. If I don't like a certain thing, I will make myself do that just so I'm going out of my comfort zone and stretching myself as a human. And I believe we should all do this. Whether it's traveling, whether it's education, whether it's physical, whether it's reflecting on your own behavior, whether it's trying to be a better person. There are lots of ways we can improve ourselves. So heights, I'm not keen on water that much, big bodies of water, because I'm not a strong swimmer. So I will go in water, especially in the sea, and do water activities. I really want to do canoeing. Yeah, so I'm lucky there's not many phobias. I'm really not keen on the dentist at all. So I'm very, very lucky, and I'm glad and grateful that I am not affected by phobias too much. But phobias are a real strong, powerful motivation that really affect people's lives in a bad way, maybe in a good way. Maybe it's the phobia of being poor that makes you work hard and earn lots of money. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Am I being crazy? Am I being stupid? Am I being not taking my own words seriously? Am I being too harsh on the use of words? Am I not being kind? Let me know what you think in the comments. What is your phobias? Are you happy with snakes? Do you like spiders? Do you have a strange phobia, like not liking pencils? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Well, that's it for today. So as always, have fun learning. If you don't have fun, you're not going to learn. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.